Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit!
That if you're going to ask me of all the events that occurred in my life that changed my belief system, I specifically said I'm not going to do that. So you're right. I gave you a generalization. You're absolutely right.
So since you haven't given me a specific reason, then there's no reason for somebody to consider that this undefined, this vague generalization is nothing more than arbitrariness.
I can tell you this. I said at the start of the room, I'll say it again now, that I'm not trying to convince anybody to follow my beliefs. I'm not trying to change anybody's opinion.
I'm not asking you to change my mind. All I want to know is either you have a clear, specific rationale why God does not exist, or you don't. Okay, which will mean
I already answered that too. The answer is I don't. I do not.
So your atheism is arbitrary.
And when you say arbitrary, you mean what again, please?
There's no clear, circumspect delineation as to the rationale why there's no God.
Yeah, yes, that is also correct. Based on that definition, it is not only arbitrary, but neither can I nor would I attempt to prove there is no God. There are many people, I'm not saying you, there are many people out there that attempt to prove there is a God. I have never attempted to prove that there is no God. I just say, I don't believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's an arbitrary position that you take.
I already agreed with you there based on your definition of arbitrary. I already said yes.
Your atheism would come under the category of irrational because it doesn't have rational.
Okay, well there you crossed a proverbial line. So if you want to claim that because I don't believe in God, I am irrational, now
that's not what I said.
Oh, that's what I thought I heard you say.
No, I said because you don't have a clear, circumspect warrant or justification why there's no God.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're holding to the proposition is irrational rather than rational.
You're saying me being an atheist is irrational. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it would not be irrational if you could give me a.
I can't. I cannot do that.
Then it's irrational.
Well, I don't agree with that either. Okay, well, I don't.
It's a true dichotomy. You can't.
Darth.
Yeah.
Darth. I've never looked at a high-powered microscope and seen two electrons going around a neutron, but everybody tells me it's true, and there's been millions of pages of literature, so I believe it, but I've never seen it with my own eyes. Is that irrational? That I believe what a whole bunch of
because there's warrant and justification.
I see.
People have for it, but you don't have a warrant or justification why there's no God, do you?
Well, Darth, you know what? If you want to say that some part of my belief system is irrational, you're entitled to do that.
Well, it's very simple. It's a true dichotomy. A proposition that somebody holds to will either be within the domain of it'll either be rationally held or not rationally held.
Okay, well then my belief then is not rational. Fine.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no. You know what? I'll go on mute. You can finish.
No, I'm not asking you to mute yourself, but either your atheism, your God denialism, will be the product of rational grounds, or it will be irrational. So which is it?
I don't understand why you have to score so many touchdowns.
I'm just asking a question.
And I'm responding to you, buddy. Okay?
Right. So is your atheism your
Darth,
or irrational?
Darth, you're not an attorney, and I'm not a witness in the box before a judge.
I thought this was Ask an Atheist.
Yes, and I've been answering.
That's what I'm doing.
And I've been answering your same questions multiple times. And like I said earlier, it seems like you're trying to get me, but that's okay.
These are legitimate questions in the.
Have I not answered all of your questions?
Well, the question that's outstanding for me is, do
Yes.
you recognize and consider that your atheism, your God denialism, will either be rational or irrational? Which is it in your view?
I don't believe in God.
That's not an answer to my question. Does your atheism constitute being rationally or irrationally derived?
I think it's rational. I do.
Good. What is the rational basis that you come to the conclusion there is no God?
I already answered that. I'll answer.
I have not heard a clear justification or warrant. All I've heard is a generalization from you.
That's right. It's based on my life as a child through an adult and everything that I've
How is that a
experienced.
justification that God doesn't exist?
For me, it is.
I'm asking you how it would be to somebody who is an inquirer, who is asking. Okay, what are the rational grounds? If you could put it on a piece of paper to be specific and not generalizing or being vague, what rational grounds have you employed to come to the conclusion that there is no creator God?
My life.
That's non-specific. It's a non-informative answer.
Well, I'm sorry that my answer doesn't satisfy your inquiry.
It's not a matter of satisfying. I'm just saying it to you. It's
Well,
not
yeah, it
an
is. You
informative answer.
you clearly sound
Do you think it's an informative answer?
You know, you've now asked me about 40 questions, and you know what? I think it's time that we give someone else on the stage
So
the.
okay, so you don't want to explain yourself. You should change the name of the room to "Don't Ask an Atheist."
All right, or maybe you just don't have to come back to the room. Maybe you can leave.
Well, are you disturbed by my questions?
No,
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
sure, go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, like, Darth, this question's for you. Like, where in your upbringing, because it's in your bio that you like to debate non-believers and anyone that's non-Christian. Where in your Christian Bible does it illustrate that you're supposed to be antagonistic in your approach of selling Christianity to people? It seems to me like you're subscribing to an apologetics that is first of all probably made you the least fun person at a party, and then secondly, it kind of lacks the warmth and the love that I normally see when I talk to Christians. And so I'm just curious, like, where does this come from? Like, what denomination has made you suck the love and the joy out of Christianity and come into rooms like this just to antagonize people?
Yeah, that's a whole bunch of loaded questions right there. So I reject some of the stated and unstated premises there. I'm just simply asking
Well,
fair
you asked me at
philosophical
least.
questions.
Well, you asked me at
Well,
least
I'm trying to
20.
answer.
Hold on. You asked me at least 20 loaded questions. Roger
What were
just
they?
asked you. Hold on, stop.
Hmm.
Roger just asked you one. So why don't you answer it?
Okay. Well, I reject his inherent premise that I lack love. I'm just simply being matter of fact. Okay. So the fact that I'm being matter of fact and I'm simply asking you about your atheism, and I have a stick-to-itiveness when you've given evasive and non-specific and non-informative answers, and then I responded by saying you're not giving me informative answer. There's nothing unloving or unkind about
Well,
that. Being matter of fact is not unkind.
Darth, what's your goal with asking me all of those questions? What's your goal?
I want to truly find out what your real reason is that there is no God, but you've yet
I
to give
already
one.
said I wasn't going to say because it's a bunch of instances and occurrences over many decades of my life. And I said up front that I wasn't going to go into all of those situations. I said that.
If you met somebody on the street and they said to you, "Could you give me one major reason why you believe there's no God?" Could you do that?
No. Oh, yeah. Well, I would say it's because of the decades of my living from being a child to an adult.
That's another non-informative answer.
It's the same answer I gave you 6 times.
You're right, and it's non-informative every time.
Well, you know what?
I don't think you can actually defend
Darth,
your atheism.
Darth, hold on. Darth, it may not be informative enough to you. It may not be informative at all. I personally believe that most of the people in this room would consider that answer informative to a degree. I don't think anybody else in this room would say that answer is not informative at all or non responsive. It was very responsive. You've asked me the same question over 10 times, 10 different ways, because I'm not giving you the answer that you want, which is why I said, what is your goal? So, what is your goal here?
I wanted to find out if your atheism is rationally or irrationally derived.
And I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you right. I'm going to answer. Hold it. I'm going to answer. You asked a direct. No. I'm going to answer, Darth. Okay, I'm going to answer.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And here's the situation with Darth, and I'm sorry he left because I wanted to say this last thing. There's nothing I can say here today that is going to change Darth's mind about my belief in atheism or my not believing in God that's going to change his opinion that my belief or lack thereof is irrational. I can tell you all right now, nothing I could say would change his mind, which is fine. I just did the best to be as respectful and open as possible, but it sounded like it felt like I was a witness and I was being grilled by a defense attorney, and I can only take so much of that. So, hey, Roger, thanks for coming up and thanks for helping out. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so that was an interesting conversation. I found it interesting that in his bio that he was more interested in debating people than it was spreading the good news of the gospel, because that's what usually somebody that's a Christian wants to do. So interesting perspective. But enough about him. I want to ask you. So
sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. So
meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom. I was just talking about your last interaction with this guy on Ask an Atheist. I was listening to the last
total imbecilic train wreck.
Right. Yeah.
This guy has brass balls to get on here and do Ask an Atheist, right? And I said, is your atheism rational or irrational? Oh, well, it's rational. Well, how did you come to the conclusion there is no God? Well, because of my life experiences. Well, what does that mean?
Nothing.
Right? He's you know what he is? You know what he is? He's one of these arrogant, conceited, cocksure atheists who's a moron. He can't even, if he thought he could give a cogent rationale why he came to the belief there is no God, he would do it. He can't.
Well, most of these atheists are inept. That's what we can derive from this.
A total colossal train wreck by this guy. Okay, total. And did you hear the other guy come in here? Where is the love? Where is the warmth? Right? Did you hear that clown? I was completely matter of fact. Okay, I'm being totally level-headed. Wasn't even my usual darkness. Okay, I was totally a cucumber and just asked him simple, straightforward questions that this buffoon could not answer. Another guy comes in and white knights him. Where is the love? Where is the warmth?
It's because they feel threatened by your question, and so then they're gonna say, just like Josh Bowen, I don't like your tone. I don't like the way you're talking to me. When look, they know they can't defend their positions. So that's what they have to do. They have to do that.
Do you think his answer would?
Hold on a second.
Do you think his answer would?
Yeah, I have to go on radio silence for about a minute, but I'm going to be able to.
Do you think his answer would be sufficient if we were to use it? If we were to say, well, if he says, "How do you know there's a God?" I say, "Well, just because of all of my life experiences."
Right.
Would he accept that from us?
Of course not, because they have a double standard and they know they're being irrational and arbitrary. So
yeah, but I can't wonder, do they even see it, or do they not see it, or are they just oblivious?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're just mentally and rationally bankrupt. And so I don't know what's going through these people's heads. Of course, they know that they're being evasive. I mean, they have to know that unless they're deficient in brain cells. Okay, they know that they're being evasive.
That guy was, I mean, what a complete train wreck. What a blowhard. The guy made an absolute fool of himself, right? Gee, Darth, you've asked me, the question. Did you hear when he accused me of asking loaded questions?
Yeah, that was just.
Did you notice that when I confronted the other guy and I said, there are inherent premises in what you've said that I categorically reject? I said, I've been extremely matter of fact. Okay. I specified, the premises. I wasn't being unloving or unkind or rude. I was just not accepting his fake answers, his ambiguities, his complete, dodging. So if you don't accept somebody's massive ambiguities and non-informative response, if you call somebody out for giving completely ambiguous and non-informative answers, well, then you're accused of not having love or warmth. You were in that room with Ask an Atheist, Redefine?
Yeah, I was.
How did
Yeah.
you like my parting words to him that he should not call the room Ask an Atheist? What he should,
Exactly. He said, well, we are asking all these questions. Well, the title of the room.
Yeah. Did you notice that I was asking straightforward questions, which he demonstrated his complete ineptitude and incompetence? And then when I didn't grant his circuitous, evasive, non-informative answers, then they try to make me look like the bad guy. And did you see how the other atheists came in to white knight for him?
Yeah.
Right? You see the pattern of behavior.
Meanie, he says.
Yeah, you lack love and warmth. I was completely matter of fact. Okay.
Well, I think that's how most of these, well, at least a lot of them anyway, they're looking for someone who's not going to challenge them or push back. They're essentially a bully. They're looking to bully a Christian and expect them to just bow out and take the verbal abuse.
That guy, what was, I don't want to say unique about him. He's one of the few kinds of atheists who, had this aura that they're kind of like a radio announcer, right? And that, they're here to be intellectual. But he just showed, I have had 14 and 15-year-olds on Discord give more cogent responses than this guy gave. Complete ineptitude. Well, I believe God doesn't exist because, just my life experiences, right? Total train wreck.